During, yes, while we're recording in progress, we request that people mute their mics so that the presenters can speak. Thank you.
Great, and the participants will not be in view on the recording. So welcome to Union 101. We're going to introduce our presentation or presenters right now, and then we'll go through this PowerPoint, which goes through an introduction about basics about unionism, our collective bargaining agreement, some topics on grievances, a little bit about our union updates, and some upcoming events. So to introduce myself, I'm Caitlin Guiley. My regular job is I'm biology faculty at Pasco Hernando State College, but I'm also the statewide vice president of United Faculty of Florida. I'm also working with USF as one of the fellows. Also presenting today, we will have Emily Mann. Emily is an assistant librarian at St. Pete campus, and she's a member of our union and also a fellow, which we'll talk about the fellow programs at the end. Hassam is an endowed associate professor of integrated biology, and he'll be presenting about grievances. And finally, we'll have Crystal Lemonius. She is an MFA candidate in art and art history, and she's also a fellow. So.
Okay, and I'm Arthur Shapiro. I'm president of USF, UFF, and I want to introduce Debbie Sinclair, who is an active chair of the membership committee. And you have she's generated this program with the fellows and now this. So Debbie, I'm very happy to introduce you and recognize considerable achievement going along.
Thanks, Art. And Debbie will also be monitoring the chat for us. Go ahead, Debbie.
I have a ton of help, so thank you, everybody, on all of the fellows and Caitlin.
Great. Okay, so our basic agenda for today, we'll go over the CBA or collective bargaining agreement. We'll talk about rights for union members, grievances, benefits of the union, some recent union victories, talk about the fellows program and some upcoming events, and then we'll have questions at the end. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat as we're going, and then we'll address those, or you can put them in the chat at the end. Our senior leadership is also available on the Zoom meeting today if we have questions that they'll have the authority for, more authority for. A couple of things also is as we go through the presentation, there's going to be a couple QR codes. If you're not familiar with the QR code, it's going to be a little picture, and you're going to open your camera app on your phone, on your smartphone, and if you just point the camera at the QR code, it will take you to a website, and that way we don't have to type in URLs. So that's for our collective bargaining agreement and grievance forms. All right, so I'll let Emily Mann take over from here.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you guys so much for attending, or for those of you who are watching it as a recording later. So I'm going to start by talking about the collective bargaining agreement, which is really just a contract. And I wrote that this is an introduction because the collective bargaining agreement is a large document, and we can really only kind of scratch the surface in this introduction. But we do encourage you to take a look at it because it is the contract that we as USF faculty follow. So next slide, please. All right, so as Caitlin said, we have a QR code here. You can also just Google UFF, USF collective bargaining agreement, and you will find it. So the collective bargaining agreement, or CBA, is a legally binding agreement, and it must be adhered to by all parties. It actually lays out our promotion and tenure guidelines for all faculty. So that means that the union is the one that negotiates and makes this contract. So all of our promotion and tenure guidelines, I know we had a lot of changes as we were going through consolidation and all of that, and it's continuing on. It also sets rules for salary, assignment of responsibility, academic freedom, job security, yearly evaluation, and more. The CBA is really, really important. And as I said, if you want to read more about it, you can go to that QR code. Next. So like I said, it covers a lot of things and it covers all in-unit faculty. In-unit faculty are basically full-time faculty members with less than 50% administration work assignment, but that isn't all of them. Most of USF Health is not in unit, and I believe there's some other spaces that are not in unit. But in-unit faculty are covered by the CBA. The CBA is going to protect your assignment of responsibility and your place of employment. This was really important as we were consolidating, so they couldn't force people to move to different campuses. It also is really important because it protects how much notice you get before non-appointment, as well as protecting all faculty from furloughs. Furloughs are not allowed within our CBA, and so that wasn't even a conversation during COVID when a lot of universities were starting to talk about that. It's a good thing that we didn't have to have any furloughs because it turns out some of that budget issue was not so much an issue. The notice is really important because this is for both non-tenure track and tenure track, and our CBA protects all of our in-unit faculty. It also provides rights, letting all in-unit faculty grieve. So what that means is anyone who feels that the CBA has been violated can file a grievance. However, only dues paying union members have the right to union representation. This is really important because we can't go back in time. If you feel that your collective bargaining agreement has been violated and then join the union, you can still grieve, but you can't grieve with union representation. We're not allowed to represent you at that point. And we'll talk about that more in the grievance section. It also regulates and protects parental leave. So every UFF chapter has a different parental leave, and you can see our parental leave in the CBA. It outlines tenure and promotion. It outlines promotion for non-tenure track. This is really important because a lot of times non-tenure track faculty sort of get left behind in that. It also outlines layoff procedures, annual evaluations, and employment and HR expectations. This is very important as we are going through starting school and people are starting classes, and we're all starting to get a little bit worried about what's going to be happening and how safe we will be. Candace just put in the College of Nursing and College of Public Health are in unit. So a lot of USF Health isn't, but there are some in unit. And if you have any questions about any of this stuff, of course, you can ask questions at the end. You can also go to our website and ask questions on it. There are question forms. Next slide, please. So we are in the process of bargaining, and Bob Welker, who is our chief bargainer, is here today. I saw him, and so you can ask questions of him later. But having gone to some of these union meetings, it sounds like this is going to be one of the toughest bargaining sessions of all time. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and he can tell you a little bit about that later. But here's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the rights we already have. That doesn't sound like a lot, but it sounds like administration is really pushing to take away some of those rights and take some of the wording that we fought so hard for in the past and take it away. We're also trying to ensure that faculty are paid equitably, secure annual raises, secure multi-year appointments for non-tenure track faculty. At this time, non-tenure track faculty do not have multi-year appointments, even with promotion. Ensure academic freedom in the classroom, and this relates to some of the legislation that's been going on, and ensure safe classrooms for faculty. Next slide, please. Administration is proposing to decrease notice of non-tenure non-renewal from 1 year to 19.5 weeks, meaning right now, if I am a librarian, so I am non-tenure track. If I were to get non-renewal, I would have 1 year to secure more work. If administration gets what they want, I would have 19.5 weeks. They're also trying to require reporting for outside activity during the summer for 9-month employees, meaning people who are not teaching during the summer are being asked to report what they're doing outside of their work time, which seems a little bit like a violation of privacy. They're trying to reduce the number of missed days required to trigger job abandonment. If someone is considered to have abandoned their job, then of course they lose their job, going past all of the non-renewal. And they are trying to remove the requirement for employee consent to change assignment, meaning that they can change your basic assignment of your job without any consent. They also have decided to throw us a bone by providing us a 1% raise that is merit-based, effective in December 2022, that's subject to state funding, meaning we probably actually wouldn't get anything. So not excellent news from administration, but we have a great bargaining unit that is really working on this and trying to fight back against it. However, the more people that we have in the union, the better chance we have of actually making a difference at our bargaining table. And as Debbie just typed in, inflation right now is 5%. So that 1% raise not probably gonna meet our needs, especially because that's a year away. All right, next slide. Rights and benefits of union members. So as I said, one of the great things about the union is we represent all in-unit people, whether they are union members or not. But here's some of the reasons it pays to be a union member. They have the right to file grievances with representation from the union, meaning the union has lawyers on staff. The union can protect you. The union has filed grievances in the past. They have a grievance committee that can help you with this. It's going to make it a lot easier. Union members have the right to request union representation at any meeting that might lead to discipline. So if you're concerned that you're about to be called into a meeting where they're going to try and maybe gaslight you or something, you can ask for union representation, and that's called Weingarten rights. Union members also have the right to vote and have a say in union matters. So we have union meetings bi-weekly right now. They are virtual, and we sometimes do votes in there. We also have annual votes. And so you can vote in the annual election to choose your representation. So no one is just born into union membership. They are voted into it. Union membership is something that we have to do to union representation, and leadership is something that we need and we're able to vote in. So it's an excellent thing to vote for. Next. Most of all, being a member is the power of collective action. More members means more power. It means, like I said, at the bargaining table. I've seen this. I worked at FSU before I was at USF, and I actually sat in the room as we were doing bargaining. They had been bargaining for months. They'd been at a standstill. They asked all the union members to try and come and just sit quietly in the room. And we did. We filled up the room. Obviously, this was pre-COVID. And we sat in there and we watched the BOT, or the administration, BOT representatives. And it helped remind them that they're not just fighting against numbers, but there are people behind it. And it really made a difference. And we actually moved forward in negotiations. It means more power with administrators. When administrators know it's not just a small group of people they're dealing with, but a large group of them, it makes a difference. It also means more power at the state level. As UFF, USF members, we are actually part of the United Faculty of Florida. I don't know about you guys. When I moved to Florida, I was surprised that we had a union. I've lived in the South most of my life, and so I think it's awesome that we do. But we need membership in order to make a difference. We saw this in the spring when when legislators were trying to pass a lot of anti-union legislation, and we had union members from across the state come up and talk and stand on the floor and say their piece. And honestly, the legislators didn't want to listen to it. They didn't want to be a part of it. And so they just pushed the legislation and it stopped it. This was legislation that would have decertified unions that were under 50%, which includes us, and also required people to send dues in rather than just have them taken out of payroll, making it more difficult to be a union member, just kind of union busting stuff. And this is something they've done almost every year since I've lived here in Florida for 7 years, and something they'll probably continue to do. But the more members we have, the less chance they have of actually making this happen. And then this next quote actually comes from Bob Welker, our chief negotiator. When you stand alone, you beg. When we stand together, we bargain. So that's what we're doing right now. And We're doing it for in-unit members and we're doing it for union members. Next slide, please. Other benefits. This is for those people that really like coupons and discounts and stuff. You will be a member automatically of several other unions, including the Florida Education Association, the National Education Association, and the American Federation of Teachers. This is going to give you opportunities to connect with other educators. It's going to give you opportunities to learn more about union work and how you can be working collectively. It's got great information. It also has member discounts. Personally, I never book a hotel without checking NEA beforehand because they have some really good hotel bookings. They also let you save money on a lot of things. We also have a $1 million insurance policy that covers liability for work-related lawsuits or claims against a faculty member. So if you have some sort of claim against you, if you're a union member, you have an insurance policy. Also, this is something I learned recently, is because we are part of the American Federation of Teachers, American Federation of Teachers actually provides free community college courses for members and their family members. So if you have kids or a spouse who wants to think about taking some classes online, there are free classes available. They actually even are doing bachelor's as well. So that is a cool little benefit that I didn't know about until recently. Next slide. So now I'm going to pass it over to Hassam, and he's going to talk to you guys a little bit about grievances.
Thanks, Emily, for your presentation. It was very informative. My name is Hassam Ashur, and I'm an associate professor in integrative biology in the College of Arts and Sciences. I'm a union member. I'm also a Senate member and a member of the Faculty Council in St. Pete. I'm today going to talk to you about grievances. So let me start by asking you, and we have 39 people in this room, does anybody like disputes? Does anybody like to file grievances? I'm sure that the answer of all of us will be no. But sometimes a grievance can be necessary for a faculty member or for a union member if they feel that the contract has been violated. The contract is also referred to as the collective bargaining agreement. We refer to it as a CBA. And unfortunately, most of us do not get to read our contracts or our CBAs specifically. And I advise everyone to go through the CBA and to understand exactly what's in there. So if it is deemed necessary to file a grievance, is there any benefit that the union provides to its members regarding grievances? Can you file a grievance on your own without the union? The answer is yes, you can. So what is the benefit then of being a union member? The benefit is the support that you will get from the union once a grievance is deemed to be necessary. There is a grievance committee within the union. You can talk to the members of the grievance committee and you can explain your case, what's happening with you, and they will provide you an expert feedback on this. And if it is deemed necessary at a later stage to hire an attorney, the union may decide to go that route and represent you. The only catch is that when the breach of the contract happens, you have to be a union member at this time. So you cannot join the union after that and ask for union representation. Union can only give representation to dues paying members. So what are some of these common grievances? Are there any examples? There are many examples. If there is a violation of a process, so let's say you're going through tenure, you're going through promotion, and there is a violation of the process has not been applied correctly in your case versus other people who have been treated differently. The process has been applied correctly in their case, but in your specific case, the process has been ignored or parts of the process have been ignored for some reason. Then that's a case where a grievance may be deemed necessary, and the union can help with that. In salary and resource inequities, the union can help as well. Because in the CBA, equity should be provided. It has statements about equity, about equal access, and so on. So any process breach, any breach of any item of the contract can lead to a grievance. If there is a problem with academic freedom, you're trying to exercise your academic freedom and you're being prevented from exercising your academic freedom, that's also against the contract, against the CBA. It's a CBA violation. In these cases, the union can help you, can support you, and file a grievance, help you file a grievance to protect your rights in academic freedom. If you have questions about this, if you're unsure whether you have a situation where a grievance can be filed or not, and many of us have questions, you can always reach out to the union and you can ask for confidentiality. If this is something you want to discuss in conference with the union, you can ask for that. And I'm sure the union members, the grievance committee wouldn't mind that, to provide you some feedback about your case and whether it can be, you need to file a grievance or not. Next slide, please. So what are some recent union victories regarding this? An MOU has been signed during COVID to protect our rights as union members. And as it was mentioned, there were no furloughs in University of South Florida versus other universities because the union protected us. The union has protected the college education, and that's a big victory for the union. The College of Education was set to be closed, and the union has protected the College of Education at USF. That's a big thing again. If things change, if there is uncertainty, it's time for the union to step in and help us. Protection of the home campus for faculty during consolidation. So if you're a faculty in St. Peter, Sarasota, Manatee, you can keep your campus after consolidation. The union is also providing support for instructors and the promotion of instructors. And that's another important victory for the union. And the union also has been fighting to keep itself certified, because there was literally a war against unions, and the unions with less than 50% membership have been faced with a situation where they can be decertified. And it did not happen, but it might happen in the future if we don't have 50%, at least 50% to become members. So it is really important to consider all these protections or these victories, all these services that the union provides. And if you find them valuable, then any new membership can help us reach the 50% mark. And then we'll be protected against decertification, and I'm sure there will be future attempts to decertify the unions that are that have under 50% representation. So please think of all these services that the union provides in terms of grievances, all these victories, all this history, and make your decision whether it is time for you to support the union as the union is providing support to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is, Hello, everyone. My name is Chris Limonius. Like mentioned in the top of the intro, I am a student, a graduate student in the School of Art and Art History and UFF Fellow, where we help to organize and help this effort that Hassan has shared. Thank you, Hassan. Organizing fellows are UFF members who are faculty and GAs. We work to build our union through outreach to other employees about issues and rights at our university, motivating members to action to improve and enforce our CBA. We are currently participating in the long-term effort to get our chapter over 50% membership. This is the on-the-ground work that's being done to make calls, to help for various campaigns, to build relationships with all faculty and GAs to understand, like this program, what our union is and what the benefits are, and how we can move forward together to empower ourselves to keep our union and keep our interest as university faculty and GAs. The purpose of this is to build power and ensure long-term stability of our union. This, that you may not know, is a paid position. And if you are interested in being a member organizer, you can contact our union, UFF. I have dropped a link in the chat where you can reach out to the UFF executives. And that's all there is to know, the core of Fellows Program. Thank you. Back to
Great,
you,
thanks.
Caitlin.
Thanks, Crystal. All right, so now we'll just do a couple updates about what's going on presently in the union. So we have an upcoming social. There's going to be a tailgate for the Bulls versus Gators football game on September 11th. The game starts at 1 p.m. There's going to be food available. It's at Raymond James Stadium. I think tickets are still available for the game. Anyone who is in the bargaining unit, members or potential members, are welcome to come, and you can bring your family as well. If you're interested in attending, please RSVP with Steve Lang. His email address is there. That way we can know how much food to bring and how many chairs and so on. So there'll be a tent, chairs, food, and it'll be a fun time. Also, I'll give some updates about what's going on at the statewide level. There's kind of two things. One is Statewide United Faculty of Florida has joined as a plaintiff in a lawsuit against HB 233, the House Bill 233. That was the law that was recently passed by Florida legislature that allows students to record in the classroom. It's also the anti-shielding law, and it also is going to mandate a survey of, quote, viewpoint diversity. The lawsuit alleges that this law is unconstitutional because it violates free speech and freedom of association because of the survey, which will ask students and faculty across the state of Florida to register their viewpoints. And Governor Ron DeSantis has implied that that could affect funding. So we are a plaintiff against that lawsuit, or against that law rather. Also, as you probably know, you have an interim president at USF, and you're going to have a hiring search for a new president at USF. We're going to form a presidential search action team. Anyone who is interested can join. You can email Steve again at the same email address. The purpose of the action team is to help influence the hiring decision and get a great leader for USF. There's lots of ways that a union can help the hiring process and help hire someone who's going to be great for USF and faculty and students. And so if you're interested in joining that, there's lots of ways you can get involved. It doesn't have to necessarily be very public. You can help with research. You can help with writing. So if you're interested in that, email Steve. Your local chapter has asked for impact bargaining over COVID. As far as I know, they've not heard back yet about the impact bargaining. So impact bargaining means that you're going to bargain a specific issue and how it impacts the union members. So the COVID impact bargaining, they also, your union leadership wrote a letter to the president of the administration about impacts of COVID. Also, statewide UFF is having a day of action this Monday where you can talk to your legislators, talk to your leaders about having masks as mandatory on campuses across the state. You might get a text or an email about that if you are a union member. All right. So with that, we will stop for questions. There's some information in the chat. If you'd like to join our union, the bit.ly/UFF/USF join is in the chat if you'd like to join as a member. There's also a web address for applying to be a fellow. It does. I'm sorry, Steve. Thank you. So impact bargaining is set on August 20th at 1 p.m. That's great. So how to become a member is there. How to become a UFF fellow if you'd like to grow membership at UFF/USF. I'm not sure if there are any other questions. Debbie, do we have any questions so far in the chat?
Oh, we're going to stop recording.